Wonderful.
It's not a competition.
Touche. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. Welcome to our Lyceum service today. And in the Lyceum service, where we would normally share philosophy of spirit, actually today David will be sharing some of his wonderful knowledge about the movement of spiritualism. So a great pleasure to welcome our guest and speaker today, Mr. David Powell, CSNU, certificate holder in healing and demonstrating. And speaking. Yes. 2 out of 3. I'm getting there. I'm getting better. So, David, welcome, and we're really looking forward to the service today. Big warm welcome to everybody here, friends old and new. Just enjoy the service. And remember, these services are not you coming to see us. We work with what you bring into the church. All right? So we are here as your servants to bring in that love and that understanding that life is continuous. It is eternal. And the implications that has on the life that we live today. So without further ado, I'll now hand over to David for the opening blessing. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, friends. Good morning. Let's take a few moments now just to join with one another and that great power of the Spirit. Great Spirit of love and light, as we join together here this morning, we do so with thanks in our heart for the wonder and the beauty of this day, of all the days which have preceded, and all those which may follow. We give thanks for the countless opportunities that are sown within each of those days, for us to realize a greater degree of our light, of our love, and of our power. We give thanks also to that ever-present, gentle, guiding influence from those realms of light who are drawn to us through those bonds, that affinity of love, to help guide, inspire us along this earthly journey, that it may be enriched, that we may grow and move ever closer to that realization of our true potential. And as we sit within this spirit of communion, of companionship, of friendship, we allow the memory of those who have gone before us, those of our family and friends, to come to the forefront of our heart and mind, and to allow that feeling of love to permeate this very room, this very space, and in and through that power invite those friends and loved ones to now join with us, seeking that true communion of the Spirit, where those messages may be given, and that demonstration, that assurance that there is no death but that of the body. We think also of those ministering guides and helpers who come forward on your behalf to enable and empower that communion, and to come forward with your words of inspiration, of upliftment and of truth. And we welcome them here too with open hearts and open minds, asking that each person here present may be touched in some way by your light and by your love. And so, Great Spirit, now as always, we leave this service within your care and in your keeping, knowing that as we do so, that all that will be said and done will be in accordance with your light, your love, and your truth. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, David. Beautiful. And now, if you care to, please join in with saying the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thine will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And leave us not when in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thank you. We now move into that time together today where we practice that art of healing. Each and every one of us are healers, be it by thought, by word, by deed, it matters not. Healing does not require training. Healing does not require credentials. Healing does not require a gift bestowed upon you. The greatest gift bestowed upon each and every one of us is that we are that reflection of the divine Spirit. So during this time, we invite you to send out your thoughts, your prayers, your intent to wherever you are drawn in the art of healing. And ask for healing for ourselves, first and foremost, because so often we give of ourselves and think not to ask for ourselves. Healing for others, healing for our loved ones, healing for our animal kingdom. It matters not. You follow your heart. Because another word for healing is just purely and simply love. So let that love energy guide you with your thoughts. And send out that peace, that reconciliation, and that thought of healing. We also invite you during this part of the service, if there is somebody in particular known to you who is in need of that healing balm at this time, please just simply raise your arm. And when I point to you, just call out their name. That is all that is required. The intelligence of spirit understands the intent and the need, and will act accordingly. So enjoy these few moments of quiet contemplation, a quiet time of meditation, of peace, and of healing. Thank you. Divine and ever-present Spirit, we thank you for this time of healing and this reminder too that healing art resides within us all, to be used and practiced wherever and whenever the opportunity arises. Amen. Amen. Now I'd like to hand over to David for the Lyceum part of the service. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Would you like the address to follow on from reading?
Yes, that's everything together. Thank you.
Well, good morning, friends.
Good morning.
It is an absolute pleasure to be with you here today, as always. And I'm delighted to have this opportunity on this particular Sunday morning as a Lyceum service, just to share some views and experience, if you like, as regards the history of spiritualism. And I know as soon as I said those words, the history of spiritualism, I could feel you all kind of go, oh no, please not a talk on the history, but we'll endeavour to keep it light but informative and relevant.
And there will be an exam.
There will be at the end, yes.
Eager to prove it.
Yes. I've got today with me two of my most prized and priceless possessions, which I'm going to refer to. But just by way of introduction and context, I know you won't be able to see it, but this is a credential card issued by the Spiritualists National Union. Unfortunately, it's not dated, so I can't tell you when exactly it was issued, but it was issued to my grandmother, who was a working medium all her life, and she was number 30 on the register. I have no idea how long the register is these days, and as I said, I can't tell you when it was issued, but she was born in 1898 and passed in 1968. So she had a long time working for Spirit. The other prized possession is it's her copy, a 1939 edition of the British Spiritualists Propaganda Hymn Book. You probably won't find many of these floating around these days. I'm not at all musical, as you will note if we do get to sing any hymns today, but it'd be interesting to know how many of these hymns are still actually in use in service, as it were, in spiritualist churches. And I'd just like to start. I'm just going to refer to the 7 principles as they are recorded here, and then to share a little bit extra of a reading from the back page. So this is 1939. This is how the 7 principles were recorded. Some of them will be familiar. The fatherhood of God, the brotherhood of man, the immortality of the soul and its personal characteristics, the proven facts of communion between departed human spirits and mortals, personal responsibility, compensation and retribution hereafter for all the good or evil deeds done here, and a path of eternal progress open to every human soul that wills to tread it by the path of eternal good. So as you can see, again, there's been some changes to the principles, and if there are people out there who are particularly minded when it comes to historical fact, maybe you could discover when the principles were changed from that form to their current form. I've tried finding, but short of asking the SNU directly, I haven't been able to establish that. But what is of most kind of interest to me is the back of the book. There is a section called Spiritualism, How to Commence Investigation. And I would just like to read a couple of the paragraphs to you. If there is an earnest desire to gain knowledge of the truth of spiritualism, it is by no means necessary to go to some far-off public medium. The family in which there is at least not one member possessing this gift is the exception. The investigation of spiritual phenomena is best conducted in the home circle. It is there the departed love to return, and anxiety to receive on our part is met with even greater desire to communicate on theirs. Sensitiveness, or the mediumistic faculty, is possessed by all in varying degrees and is capable of cultivation. There is nothing miraculous or mysterious about it. Sometimes a member of the circle that gathers round the table for the first time is found to be mediumistic, and communications are at once received. This is not often the case, however, and several attempts may have to be made before results are obtained. When manifestations are received through such a circle, tests may be applied, and the means are at hand for a thorough study of the subject. What is more, we may furnish our departed friends the means whereby to approach us and make known to us not only their identity, but their undying affection. We catch a gleam through the parting curtains of the life beyond and become conscious that the real life is over there. Well, you could say how things have changed, have they not? That was back in 1939, and what struck me when I read those words was the fact that this instruction, this guidance that was being given out at that time was not to go and do a workshop, not to go to a college because colleges didn't exist, not to go to somebody else, but to go to the source. To sit in the privacy of your own home with your own family and to commune directly with the Spirit. Things certainly have changed over the course of the last however many years it is since 1939. My brain doesn't work quickly to do the sums. And nowadays, is it not the case, perhaps, that our desire to communicate, our ability, we have to a large extent divested that power to other people, to other mediums, to online sources, to books, to any number of sources of information other than our own spirit and the Spirit who are there, as Lawrence was saying, they're ready, willing and able to work with and through us. Now my grandmother, as I said, she worked pretty much all her life, and what might surprise you to know is that up until she was in her 50s, she could have been arrested and tried as a witch. Can you believe that? Up until 1951, doing what I'm doing today and what Lawrence does and any other mediums, we would have been subject to arrest, to trial for witchcraft, and to be imprisoned for witchcraft up until 1951. And you might think, well, that's kind of unlikely. Surely they weren't putting people in prison for witchcraft. Well, they were. And one of the very famous, well-known mediums of the Second World War era, a lady called Helen Duncan, that's exactly what happened to her. She was a working, practicing, well-regarded and highly respected medium. And I think it was in 1943, she was doing a séance in Portsmouth, and there had been communication during the course of this séance from a son of a mother who was present in the séance, and the son was saying that he was serving on a Royal Naval warship, that it had been sunk, and all hands were lost. And news of this got out, and it came to the attention of the Admiralty and the police. And of course, during the times of war, information and the control of information, propaganda, was hugely important. And so what happened is, on a further occasion, when Helen Duncan was giving a séance, midway through, the police barge in, arrest Helen Duncan, carted her off to the local police station. She subsequently went on trial under the Witchcraft Act of 1735, was tried, found guilty, and imprisoned. That was in 1943. And it was not until 1951 when a piece of legislation came in called the Fraudulent Mediums Act. And the Fraudulent Mediums Act was a tremendously important piece of legislation, because for the first time in law it recognised that there was such a thing as a fraudulent medium, but by default it recognised and created, if you like, the fact that there could be a genuine medium, a non-fraudulent, the real thing. So that wasn't until 1951, and on each and every occasion prior to 1951, any person who stood on a platform, who communicated with the so-called dead, who did healing, who did trance work, who did demonstrating the physical presence of the spirit, were liable to arrest and imprisonment for being a witch. It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it, in this day and age, that that was the case up until 1951. And then it changed through that piece of legislation and allowed us, if you like, the freedom and the opportunity to do what we now do, without thinking, without question, without risk of being arrested and called a witch. I don't know, I wouldn't mind being called a witch or a warlock or a Merlin or a wizard or whatever from time to time. I haven't got the capes yet, but we can work on that. And the Fraudulent Mediums Act, unfortunately, was repealed itself in 2008. And it was overturned by a piece of European legislation, the Unfair Consumer Protection Regulations, I believe is what they were called. And arguably, mediums, spiritualists, lost that kind of legal protection, maybe not the right word, but identification that there was such a thing as a genuine medium. And as I said, things have changed, greatly since 1939. The legal framework has changed. Our attitude and our approach to spiritualism, to mediumship, has largely changed. And I'd like to come back to this point that I mentioned in the introduction, that it seems to me that we have lost sight of the wisdom of these kind of teachings, which advocate in no uncertain terms that the answer to our questions are not going to be found outside of us. Yes, there will be places, there will be people, there will be sources of information that can aid and can assist us. But where we really need to be looking is within. And it's, I can certainly speak from experience. It was the last place that I looked, because when I embarked upon this kind of pathway almost 25 years ago now, I had this unsettling, constant, gnawing feeling that there was something out there that once I got hold of, everything would be fine. One piece of information, one piece of the jigsaw. And I embarked on this journey of courses, colleges, mediums, all sorts of teachings, desperately trying to find this one piece of information that I needed to make it all fit. And of course, it took me the best part of 20 years to realise that that information itself doesn't exist. It's not out there. It was in the very last place that I would look, which is within myself. And if that's true of me, it's true of each and every one of us. And in that degree to which we are prepared and willing to take time out from our busy lives to simply sit in the stillness and in the peace of our own presence and to make that invitation to the other world, they will fulfill that intention. As Lawrence was saying, they will reply. They are as desperate to communicate with us as we are to them. The power of our own spirit is real. But it is only real in the degree to which, first of all, we recognise that we have a power. And it's like anything else. Where we put our attention to is what will grow. If you have a prized flower in the ground, if you don't water it and if you don't feed it, it will wither. And it's the same with our own spiritual potential, our spiritual power. In the degree to which we give it attention, we give our energy towards it, it will grow. It will become a presence within us that we cannot deny. People I often hear, and I know lots of people have said this and have heard this said, that we don't have mediums like they used to in the old days. And I'm sure we don't. I'm sure if we were able to transport ourselves back to 1939 and to see the likes of Estelle Roberts and all the others doing their stuff, we would be amazed. We would be bowled over. And unfortunately, not in all cases, but in many cases, what we see today as mediumship is but a pale reflection of what was and what can be. And perhaps the way forward for spiritualism, for mediumship, is actually to go backwards, to go back to those essential teachings and to encourage our own journey, our own sense of discovery of our own power. Yes, the family structure has changed, and it's kind of rare to find a family as it perhaps would have been in 1939. But there are still friends, there are still people of like minds who can sit together. I need to be careful here because I know I'm speaking against churches and I'm speaking against colleges and I'm speaking against organised learning. Every other medium these days seems to be a teacher or a guru or what have you. Perhaps there's a place for all of that, but it will not and it should not be at the cost of our own ability to link with our own power, with our own presence of our spirit, and to enter into that holy and sacred communion with that greater world of the Spirit. I'll leave those thoughts with you.
Beautiful, beautiful and beautifully delivered. Thank you, David. That was certainly given us a lot to take away. And now I understand the conversation that we were having previous to...
synchronicity.
Indeed, indeed. And that is reflected now in the piece of music for today, which I kept coming back to thinking this can't be right. But actually, I couldn't have picked a better piece of music. So just enjoy songs coming up. During this time, Paul will be taking the collection for the further work of this your church.
You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your ability. You're capable of anything. You can achieve any dream. Please don't limit yourself. Don't live your life limited. It's not all sadness and misery. Life Life's a challenge, but you will succeed. Take control of how you feel in every circumstance. Work on yourself daily. Your story's far from done. The best is yet to come. To achieve, you must believe. You can live out all your dreams. Persevere, you'll make it through. What you need is all in you. When you believe, you will achieve. You can live out all your dreams. It's about time you knew the truth. You got the power all in you. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You have to believe in yourself. You don't have to hide anything. You can be your true self. Don't need to follow society. Never forget that you're blessed. Give thanks for everything. Even the hard times will turn out to be blessings. No matter how you feel, you can learn from your pain. It's there to make you great. Your story's far from done. The best is yet to come. To achieve, you must believe. You can live out all your dreams. Persevere, you'll make it through. What you need is all in you. When you believe, you will achieve. You can live out all your dreams. It's about time you knew the truth. You got the power all in you. To achieve, you must believe. You can live out all your dreams. Persevere, you'll make it through. What you need is all in you. When you believe, you will achieve. You can live out all your dreams. It's about time you knew the truth. You got the power all in you.
As I said, when I picked that one this morning, I'm like, are you sure? Now I'm thinking, I couldn't have picked better. No, we couldn't have picked better. Whoops. Before I hand over to David for his demonstration of evidential mediumship, we have a little thing here, don't we, in Paul?
Yes.
Thank you. Hello. You know, this time of communion, each message is a miracle. You know, we have this time now where we can hear from people we thought lost to us. Now, in the range of miracles, I don't know which one beats that. Seriously doesn't. But it is a conversation. It is a time when you can communicate, and that requires us taking part in it. You don't have your mobile phones going like that, because nothing will happen. So if David should come to you, nice clear yes, no, or a maybe. So it's a
Yes, no, maybe.
got it nailed. Over to you, sir.
Excellent, thank you very much. The only other thing I would add to that is do resist any temptation to give me information. Because if you do that, what's going to happen is I'm going to come and sit down there, you're going to come up and stand up here, and you're going to give me a message, okay? So unless you're up for that, yes, no, not sure, maybe. Any one of those responses is fine. I would like to come to the lady with the lovely pale blue jumper on. Yeah, we always have to look, make sure it's us, but yes, if I may come to you, please. I've got a gentleman here that's with me. This gentleman doesn't feel that dissimilar to my kind of height and my kind of build. I know this man would have been, he feels to be very much like one of life's eternal optimists. So I feel a man who had always been wanting to kind of look on the bright side of life. I feel very upbeat, I feel very outgoing in my nature, and I feel very much with this man that sitting down, you know, reading the newspaper wouldn't have been this man. It's almost like I've got, if I can say, ants in my pants, that I would wanted to have been on the go, would have been doing things, would have enjoyed the company of other people. I feel this man would have, he's not desperately old. I don't feel all shriveled and wrinkled with this man. If he's in his 70s, that sort of 70s, mid-70s, that's the kind of feel I have with this gentleman. Can this description please making sense? And I do feel close to you, so I want a close relationship with this man. Yes. Thank you. I know also this man, he's warm, he's affectionate, and very much schooled in the old way. You know, when I was talking about all the stuff back in 1939, this is a man who would have been your consummate gentleman. So putting ladies first, that kind of thing would have been schooled into him, I feel. Does that make sense? Not really. Okay, well maybe he's learnt his lesson, I don't know, but maybe that's what he's wanting to get to. If you don't understand that, okay, but the rest of the description, you'd understand this man. If I said he would have been quite particular, because I feel wanting to kind of put my shoulders back, stand up straight, and I just feel there's a smartness with this man. I'm not saying he would have worn a suit all the time, but would you understand taking care and things being, you know, he wouldn't have been slapdash. That's what I want. This is not a slapdash kind of character. Okay, lovely. Oh, he's just so excited to have this connection with you. There's so much he would want to talk about. Would there be a love of music and dancing in this man's background, please? You would understand that. Thank you, because I saw like the old-fashioned 78s. Some people, younger people, think, what's a 78? Google it. So I can see the old turntable and the old records, and he's got quite a cheeky sort of sense of humour, because it keeps on taking my mind back to dancing, and he was like, I can't dance to save my life and I can't sing. But I feel this man, whether he could have danced well, but he would have had a go. Not normally. All right. Well, that's what I feel. I'll just have to leave it at that. Maybe he has. I'm not going to make this fit, but maybe he's learned to dance in the spirit world. Maybe it's something he thought. That's what I wanted to get to. That, as I said, he may not have been very good, but he would have had a go. Okay. You would understand, you know, we can go through life and it can be like this, and at other times it can be like that, and other times it feels like, you know, we're being battered all over the place. And you would understand at the present time, it's like you're lost at sea. Yes. Would there be a naval connection or a connection with boats, please? Because that's lost at sea is not an expression I would normally use.
Only relation.
All right, you've got relations where that fit. Okay, but what he's wanting to say is he's aware that you've been lost at sea, battered and bruised and pulled in all directions. And he said you don't know whether you're left or right, whether you're coming or you're going, or whether you've been. It's that kind of feeling that he's wanting to for you to acknowledge. He needs to talk about the name of Mary. Do you understand Mary being remembered to you? And there should also be an Edward, which Edward, of course, could be Ted or Teddy. All right, well, you're lovely if you can place Mary, but there should be a Ted or Edward. Maybe have a little ponder on that one. But this lovely gentleman is wanting to bring, I do feel fatherly with him. That's how I feel. I feel very paternal, very caring towards you. He's just wanting to bring that assurance, you know, if he could part the waves for you, this is what he'd want to do. He's wanting to try and smooth things out. Okay, can I also give you the name of Gordon, please?
I know Gordon.
There should be more than just a casual neighbour. Okay. Can I just test something? Would you know about links to Australia? No. All right. Well, it's Gordon then. I'll tell you about that later if we have time. Okay. So can I leave this gentleman's love with you? There should be a little dog or dogs, please, also that would be connected with you, because it's a bit like Crufts up here now. There's all these little dogs running around. So they want to be remembered to you. Our pets survive as well. So can I leave this gentleman's love with you? And I don't feel far from you in terms of your home and looking out for you. So just remember what I said. Sit in that quiet, put your thoughts out, and he's leaving you with some yellow flowers. Do you understand the significance of yellow flowers? Yeah? Lovely. Okay, well, there's a huge, great big bunch for you. Okay? I'll leave his love with you. Thank you for speaking up. Quick drink of water. May I just move along and come to the lady with the, is it a black jacket on? Yes. Hi. I've got a gentleman here. This gentleman feels very different to the character over there. This is a very placid man. This is a man who would have not been prone to being rushed. I feel very steady in my nature. I feel, yeah, okay. This man, at times, I feel could have done with a bit of a bit of a push, a bit of encouragement, because I just feel so steady, so kind of composed that, you know, the house could have been on fire, the roof could have blown off, the kitchen could have been leaking, you know, we'll get there in a minute. It's that kind of feeling with this gentleman. So I know he would have had this sense of calmness, this sense of composure, and sense of steadiness. And in that way, he feels very much like a rock to me. That's the kind of feel and the relationship. He's very understated in his ways. So this is not a man who would have been demonstrative in his affections, either verbally or physically, I feel. But it's kind of like you would have been expected to know that this man loved and cared for you, but he did. This is quite a taller gentleman than myself as well, and I feel to be fuller in the body. I don't feel, though, that he's made old bones. He's not like old and really, really wrinkly, because people would say he should have had longer. That you know, there's that feeling he would have gone before people said what his time was. So, yeah. And I do feel that passing would have been sudden. Could you understand, please? Whether it's connected with here, heart, but I just feel there's a suddenness there. It's kind of, everything's going along fine, and then it isn't. That's the kind of feeling. Could I say that this is Dad, please? Yeah. Thank you. Because I feel fatherly to you, but in an understated way. I know your dad he was a very clear thinker. He was a very careful and a very cautious man. And he's wanting to say to you, that served him well at times, but on other times he missed opportunities. And you would understand a situation around you where that cautiousness may be helping, but it may be hindering. And he's wanting to encourage you, please, to sort of step out of yourself. You know, you've ingrained so much of your dad's lovely characters, but with the benefit of hindsight and experience and reflection, your dad's not wanting you to get too set like your dad was. Okay, so whatever the situation is, he's not going into detail, but as long as you understand, that's important. Would you place the name Daisy for me? Could you understand a daisy?
I know of a daisy, yes.
Yeah. I'm not going to sing it, but for some other reason I keep on hearing, you know, that Daisy, Daisy. All together now. Don't know where that came from, but there we are. But you understand Daisy. Would you also be able to place for me there's some concern for a lady who'd be close around you at the present time, somebody who is in need of some upliftment, some care, some healing.
Yes.
It should be close to you, though. I don't mean just some random person. Because I feel this gentleman, your dad, is wanting to acknowledge that this help is being directed to this person. You're looking a bit blank. Yeah. All right. If this person's not immediately apparent to you, it's not yourself, is it? You're not in need of some...
Always.
Always. Okay. All right. We got there in the end. Okay. But you'll be the last person to ask for it. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that's a little bit of a finger wag from your dad then. Okay. So don't be putting our head in the sand. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Could you place a light-coloured dog for me, like a retriever, Labrador, that kind of colouring dog, but a bigger dog, one that would have been about knee-high?
No.
All right, we've got a Labrador Retriever going. Anybody like to claim a Labrador Retriever? So we'll see if we can get that one placed. All right. Well, if it's not with your dad, it's up here with me at the moment, so we'll have to get him home before we go. Can I leave your dad's love with you? Remember what he said. Help, and not being too kind of stuck. All right. So I'll leave his love with you. I know we're all over in this corner. I haven't forgotten you over this side, but I'm just going where the Spirit are taking me to. Could I come to the lady with the lovely green top on, please? I'm trusting it's green. I'm a man. I only see primary colours, and I'm also partially colourblind. So, but if I could come to you, please. I'm aware of a gentleman here that's with me, and I know this gentleman would have had problems with his respiration, with his lungs, before he would have passed to the spirit world, because I can just feel a heaviness there, and this sense of I'm having to kind of work for my breath. So I know this man would have, you know, by the time he's passed, I've got this feeling like I've just been through the ringer, as it were. So I'm feeling very depleted. I do want an elderly man, a man who would have been, I have to be careful and say elderly because I'm 63, and but this man would have been, I feel, into his 70s. That's the kind of feel I have with this gentleman. You're looking a little bit kind of puzzled. There's two. Okay, so we're still in the kind of in the ballpark. So let's just work with this gentleman. Okay. I don't feel with this gentleman that he would have been open to this, all this kind of stuff about life after death, because I feel, I'm not saying he would have been religious, but I do feel that there is some tenuous kind of link to Orthodox religion with this man. I feel that you would have been fighting an uphill battle if you tried to convince this man of this understanding. Does that make sense and help narrow it? It's still down to two. Okay, well, we'll just keep going until we get this ironed out. I do feel this gentleman, he's quite reserved in his nature. I don't feel he's a man, say, of many words. There's this almost like a cautiousness I feel with him. So would you understand that there would be some distance between us? This either could be a physical distance or an emotional distance, or some reason as to why I feel a little bit in sort of trepidation in reaching out. Still down to two. Okie dokie. Let me just test. Does anybody else understand this gentleman that I've described? No? Okay, I still feel I'm with you. We may be getting a 2-in-1, who knows? But we should be able to get this placed. I need to talk about the name Elizabeth. Would you understand Elizabeth, please? All right, put Elizabeth there to one side. Okay, let me just recap on this gentleman. You understand this condition with the lungs. As I said, I feel quite a conservative, quite a cautious man in his nature. I don't feel at all kind of disposed to this understanding, and I feel there's a little bit of distance I need to kind of close with you. I feel like I want to be connecting. If this isn't Dad, I want somebody close around Dad. Does that help narrow this down, please? A grandfather, okay. Because how I'm feeling is paternalistic, but I don't feel, some grandfathers can be very, very close, almost like a second dad, and other grandfathers feel a bit distant. And this grandfather feels a little bit distant. Does that make sense?
Yes, in a way.
In a way, okay, all right. So why is Grandad here today? What do we need to be talking about? If I was to talk to you about being at a crossroads, at like a Y junction, would you understand? Because your grandfather's painting this picture for me in my mind's awareness of you being kind of a bit stuck.
Okay.
Would you understand that there's a situation around you at the present time where it's like, I don't know whether to go left, I don't know whether to go right, I don't know whether to do this or whether I want to do that.
Yes.
And it's like you're being kind of not going anywhere. Kind of held in that moment. And yeah, okay. You know that expression, sometimes we can be so close to something that we can't see the wood from the trees. Well, I feel your grandfather is wanting to encourage you just to step back, because when we move ourselves, change our perspective, change our perception, then things can look differently. And what may appear to be us to be a no way forward, we will see that there is actually a little pathway to go. Does the name Peter is significant to you, please?
Yes.
That's not your granddad's name though, is it? No, but you don't understand Peter. Okay. And could you also place for me, it's David today for dogs, but I used to be a dog handler, so no surprise there, a black dog for me.
I could have taken the golden retriever.
Aha! So the golden retriever's with you, but sometimes when the spirits show me a black dog, it can be one of two things. It can literally be a black dog. If it's not a black dog, they need me to talk about low mood. Would you understand why that's been mentioned? Thank you. Okay. So grandfather's just mentioning that. I know you may have thought that there'd be 101 other people who would be here before your granddad came in, but this is just the way it goes. He's here for that particular purpose and for that particular reason, to give that message. So I do want to leave his love with you, because that's how I feel towards you. And it's like he'll be keeping a weather eye. There's another nautical expression. He'll be keeping a weather eye out for you.
Thank you very much.
All right. The name Jill's been called also. Do you understand Jill?
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you. All right, well, thank you for working with me.
Thank you very much.
I don't normally talk this much, would you believe, so I need another quick drink of water. I feel I'd like to come to the lady, yeah, just looking at me now. You've got a nice cream coloured top on? Yeah. You look very much like somebody, one of my friends from one of my circles. It's not Sandy though, is it? No. Can you see the resemblance?
Yes.
Yes. I've got a gentleman here that's with me, and this gentleman is closer to the 6 foot mark. I want a man who would have kind of stood tall, and this is very much a man who would have known his own mind and been quite able to express that. So I've got a strong man in terms of his character, of his belief, of his self-conviction, and this is a man I feel you wouldn't want to have trifled with, if I could put it like that, because he has this presence and this strength of character. And I said physically he's quite a tall gentleman. I do feel that he would have had problems with his chest, but this is a man who would have not laid down, in the sense that I feel it doesn't matter what's been going on in his life, would kind of put it to one side, get on and get going with life. And I feel very much that's how he would have been, literally to the end. So this is not a person who would have rolled over, given up. He would have kept on going. Again, I feel paternalistic, I feel fatherly. So if this is a grandfather or somebody who'd be like a grandfather to you, could you place this gentleman for me? Grandfather, thank you. It's you're like the apple of his eye, though, aren't you? Would you accept that?
I was quite young when he died.
He was quite young, but I was young when my grandmother died. I was only 8, but she's like forever in here with me. And that's how your granddad, as he's kind of beholding you now through me, feels about you. If I was to say to you that life hasn't been easy for you, and I know we'd all have our trials and tribulations, but would you understand why that's been said? You've had a fair share of knocks and bumps and yeah. And if we held up a mirror with your granddad and yourself, what he's wanting to show and to reflect is that those qualities that I spoke about, of that capacity to pick yourself up, to dust yourself down and to think there's another day, is so apparent with you. You're not one to lay down and to give up. This is what he's wanting to say to you. You're one of those people who will keep on going, getting up. And I just feel so much pride from your granddad in acknowledging that. Okay. There's got to be an opportunity just around the corner for you that you may be aware of at the present time, and you've been umming and ahhing, do I do this or do I don't I? And it's very much that encouragement from your grandfather to not be doubting yourself. Look at what you've achieved so far and what you can do moving forward. So it's to take faith, if you like, in self, in confidence, and just to go with it. Okay. Could I put lots of children around you?
No, everyone says that.
Really? Oh.
Yet to come.
But you must either work or hopefully will acknowledge that you're a carer, you're a natural carer. No?
That's a yes. Where do you work?
I get it.
Welcome to the conversation.
Yeah, so, all right. So, your granddad's talking about stars in heaven. And you being you will not see, you will not recognise what you've been doing and how you've been accruing your stars. But your granddad's up here kind of polishing them on your behalf. So the message there is about not underestimating yourself and renewing that sense of self-conviction, self-confidence and purpose, because there are opportunities coming your way. That's what he's wanting to talk about. All right. Would you be able to place little dogs with your granddad also? Yeah, again, because I've got little dogs up here that, those kind of dogs. And just finally, before I go, if we were to talk about the month of April, would you understand a significant anniversary in the month of April? We want round about the 15th of the month. Okay. All right, yeah, I know these dates kind of percolate. I'm hopeless on dates, but if it's not that, if you win the lottery on the 15th, remember who told you, all right? I'm your new best friend. Ladies and gentlemen, it's just about 12 o'clock, so I believe we are out of time and I'm out of puff. So can I thank you for your love and support for making those messages possible. Thank you.
Lovely. Anyway, moving on. I don't know about training the mediums. You have to train the sitters, so I think it's first and foremost. Moving on to our notices for the week. On Wednesday, sorry if I'm interrupting you. Wednesday at 3 o'clock we have a divine service, and that will be taken by myself. On Thursday between 11 and 3 we have our holistic health day. During that day we have Brian Walker, a psychic healer, Claire Cambridge, who will be practicing Reiki, lovely Elle, who will be working with reflexology, and Debs, who will be bringing her machine which monitors your levels of minerals and vitamins to give you a health report. So that's between 11 and 3 this coming Thursday. Few people have made appointments. Great. If you want to make an appointment, please do. You can just turn up on the day. So that's this Thursday between 11 and 3. Friday in the morning between 11 and 2 we have our monthly bereavement group. This is a time when those who are on that grieving process, no matter where you are on it, it doesn't have to be recent, these can be emotional scars from the past, but you can come along, join in the morning, a cup of tea and a cake. I mean, what more do you want? But it's that time you can come together and just share those experiences and stories and support each other. And then next Sunday at 11 a.m. we have a divine service again with Anne Randall from Portsmouth. So I'd now like to, very quickly, we've got the lovely Christine Gillingham at the back of the church there. Christine is working on her path to become a spirit artist. So she is taking the opportunity to sit in occasionally with the services just to keep practicing her art. So thank you again, Christine, for being here. If you'd like to see what she has transcribed during the service, please go up and see her after the service. Without further ado, I will hand back to David for the closing prayer. Thank you.
Great Spirit of love and light, as we now draw our service to a close, we do so with heartfelt and humble thanks for this opportunity to have joined with one another and those of our friends and loved ones who have come forward from those realms of light to demonstrate that great and eternal truth that there is no death but that of the body. And we ask, as we each now go our separate ways, that we may be kept safe and well, that we may forever be guided and inspired to walk in pathways of light, of love, and of service to one another, that each in their own way may be helped and guided to that more fuller, perfect realization of that wonderfully unique and individual spiritual potential, that each may be helped to realize their purpose within this life, and in each and every day become that example of your light and of your love. Amen.
Amen. David, thank you. I hope you've enjoyed today as much as we have.
Thank you.
It's been a beautiful, wonderful service. A lot of thought there, a lot of things to take away. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here today. As I always say at this time of year, every bright day is a blessing. Go out and enjoy it. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I've got tea. Yeah, great.
Sugar?
Just a second. Yeah, cheers.